Cool. So we're recording. Okay, there we are. Welcome to the first episode of
Inspirational Conversations.
Yay!
With Cecilia Gotherstrom
and David Tyrrell. It's not the first time we're doing things live on Zoom and other mediums, but...
Yeah, it was an idea that came up, wasn't it? We have our bi-weekly catch-up on Skype.
Yeah.
And we've known each other for, oh my goodness me, many years.
Yeah, it's at least 10, I think it's 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I met you when you came into my shop in Haarlem in the Netherlands, although I'm now back based in Scotland. And we have regular catch-ups.
Yeah.
And during those catch-ups, we have a lot of inspiration come through, wouldn't you say?
Insights, downloads, aha moments. It's like we catch up to catch up as friends, but it becomes work.
Yeah.
It's like, it just, I want to say trickles through, but it pours. It rains. Yeah.
And we was on together the other day, and we just got the inspiration. We get so much inspiration during these personal meetings. We felt that a lot of it that we get through could be shared and may be beneficial to other people.
Exactly, because it's always about the times that we are in, and every personal development we know now is tied to the collective development, and they're both as important. But as a society, most of us have learned to just focus on the outside and not on the inside, and so that's, I think we had clear orders. From
orders might be the right word.
Yeah, yesterday to, okay, here guys, now you go online, actually after every call. But yesterday we didn't have the time, so we decided, okay, then we have to meet tomorrow. And also I want to share to people, because it really is inspirational conversations. But inspiration is not that we come up with it, it's stuff that we get through. And we just have to share it. And of course, we did have this Zoom series in the lockdown years, which we were also ordered to do every month. And I think it's about a year ago when we stopped doing that, because we were again ordered to, or you could call it divinely gently guided, but it was not that gentle, to go deeper into our own work. And it's kind of interesting. It hits me now when we're talking about it, that I think it is a year ago, like June last year, we should have had the last one. And then I don't know what happened, why we didn't have it, but we were told to kind of end it there.
Yeah, I think we had a natural break over the summer.
That was it. Yeah.
There was it's funny how things kind of happen and you don't always realize why, but we were having a natural break. And we was going to come back with our Zoom meetings with friends and that, which was open to everybody. But then over the break, we got told, no, that's it.
Yeah.
Your work is going to go a different way.
Yeah. And we've both gone very, very deep this past year. Very deep. And a lot's happened. So now it makes sense also why we got this clear directive yesterday to, okay, now you guys, your conversations are not just for you. So the things that are said to be shared, we are going to share it from now on. So we'll be uploading this to our YouTubes. There'll be a reel, of course, on Instagram, on our Facebooks, and on Spotify.
Yeah, we want to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I think this first program is letting you know who we are and how we came into doing these series of sessions to share
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and a little bit of background about ourselves, because then you understand. Hopefully, that helps you understand where we are coming from, our background, and our journey to bringing this forward to share. There's so much wisdom comes through, I think, on these bits. It's
Yeah.
not just for us to keep. We are being given this information, although a lot of it pertains to ourselves. There's a lot of inspiration and information that really needs to come out for others as well.
It does, because we are all part of the world. And yeah, we're all connected. So let's start with you. So who are you, David? Well, I mean, in this moment.
I think my name's been worn out today or enough already, but yeah, I'm David Tyrrell. I originate from England, from North London, and about 30, I was just counting yesterday, I've been working professionally for Spirit for 36 years now.
Wow.
Which is really a little bit crazy, both man and boy. It started off with me being opened up to communicating with our loved ones in a mediumship way, seeing spirit, and then developing into a healing modality, or developing and training in a healing modality of Reiki, because of my own health. So it all kind of come in at once, and it really kind of blew the doors open of walking into this world, or walking in this way of working. And it's understandable that it's become a vocation. It's just not something that has happened. It's something that needed to happen when I look back. And during that, then I started working with crystals, doing courses, development, and passing on information that I'd learned. And I ended up in the Netherlands in 2008. I moved from Scotland, where I was, and moved over to the Netherlands in November 2008, opened a shop, had a practice and a shop, and that's where I met Cecilia. And I think I've done a lot of training, a lot of wisdom gathering and channeling during those 8 years I was there till 2016. And it was an incredible learning experience. And I've brought that back now to say where I am in Scotland. And then it just burst, the teaching just burst open. And now life has taken me on a different path. The past 4 years, I've been inspired and channeling auramists, high frequency auramists for your well-being, and now working a lot with the land, with Mother Nature, using all the skills that I've learned over the past 30 something years, and now putting into working with nature, working with Mother Earth, with Gaia, and trying to raise the vibrations of everything. And hopefully people will get back in touch and be a part of Mother Nature as well, where we can regain our balance. So that's where I'm at the moment. So my readings, I do personal mentoring from my experience as well. The readings are just put to rest because I need space to do everything else. The spirit of coming in and gently pushing me to go forward. So I think that kind of sums it up in a smallish package.
Yeah, a smallest package, because there's so much
Yeah,
that you know and do and that you're connected with. And also your way of mentoring is just natural. You have a way of mentoring that just allows things to come through. Which I mean, I'll share in my story how we got to know each other, but also everything that's opened up since we have our conversation. Because a word that just kept coming through the whole time when you were talking was like the ascended masters.
yeah,
And of course, Gaia is also an ascended master, but they're like, in my experience, and even if I would use the word opinion, even that's an ego word, with you, they're so strong. They are so strong in your presence, which is why, as someone who studied with you, it's easy to listen to them because of what you bring in. So I wanted to add that.
well, thank you.
And or if I wanted to add that, or it's somebody going on, because me, my ego, so this is interesting for people watching or listening, like my ego was like, it's better to keep saying that once you've told your story, because that would be the human logical way. But they were just, that energy was so strong. It's like, no, say it now, say it now. Don't follow a script. And if there's something we've learned in these years,
Yeah,
and every time again that we speak, because like everyone else, we get things going on in life, and whenever we speak, it's the what we learn. Okay, don't follow a script, because if you do, you miss things. I mean,
yeah,
have a sort of an idea what you would like in your script, but don't follow it so hard that you don't listen.
I know, and I think it is a lot of our conversations are very organic,
Yeah,
and I think that's allowing us to free up ourselves, free up our spirit, and allow in more inspiration to come through. And maybe that's what we need to share when you've told your story, is about allowing yourself the freedom from being that's every single word in a book. I know if you're reading a book, but if you're listening and talking and allowing that inspiration to come through and just put your feelings into words,
yeah.
it could be so much come through for other people as well by linking into that inspirational frequency.
Exactly. And it's so beautiful how you say that, because that is what I realize now, what has built up through the years, because we've been doing these bi-weekly Skypes for more than 10 years. And of course, we know each other really well because of that. And also then when things come through, it's that when we just go like, hey, you know what, like, listen to this. It's like, there's no, like you say, it's organic. It's just no, how can I say, there's no blockage. It's like, all right,
Right.
shit, this is coming through. I got to say it. And I think that by us having had these conversations for so long, we've gotten used to doing it that way. And we can use that we use that in our work, in our other work. I at least know that for me, because I know when I met you, you've been doing this work for very long already. And so how I met David. So I'm Cecilia Gotherstrom, born in Sweden, living in the Netherlands at the moment still. And my journey, I'm not really, like, so often I've said that my journey started when I started my yoga teacher training in 2000, or I think, no, when I started yoga, before I started my teacher training, which was in 1999 in Austria, where I was living at the moment. But having gone through everything I've learned since then and reopened, and all the conversations David and I have had, I know now that there was something there already as a kid, like with elementals and nature. This is what binds us. Nature, actually the Norse and the Celtic heritage, the ancient Scottish, the ancient Scandinavian, that was already there. But it feels to me like my opening up or reopening up again started when I started with yoga after a burnout in Austria in 99. And then I moved to the Netherlands with my then boyfriend, who I later married. And this classical Himalayan yoga already opened something in me. So when I came here, I was sort of guided by burnouts and things, because that kept going, because of course I was young and I had a commercial career, which was a lot of fun, but it wasn't my path. And at one point I was at home on sick leave, and I started going to yoga 4 times per week in a studio very close to me, also classical yoga. And the woman who ran it, Yolanda, she said to me, I think you should do a yoga teacher training. And I looked at her and I said, I'm so stiff, I don't think I should do a teacher training. I should do a personal training thing and not a yoga teacher training. And she goes, it's not about being flexible, it's totally different. So she sent me to Amsterdam to her teacher, Teresa. We had a conversation, and Teresa had a 3-year teacher training program starting, that was in 2004, that 2 months later. And so she said, you're coming, you're joining. I started that, and straight away, because we went straight into the old texts, you know, and Teresa, I know, and I'm, you know, we're years further. Teresa was a shaman already then. So next to the old text, there was a lot of nature things coming in. There was so much happening, so much good things going on. We had to do a lot of hard work. And through my acupuncturist, I got in touch with Reiki. And she said to me, because I was lying there on the table with needles to treat my hay fever, which later proved to be gluten intolerance. And once I removed that, no hay fever. But anyway, she said, would you like Reiki when you're lying on the table? I was like, what's that? So she gave me Reiki, and I was like, yeah, in a different place. And I got curious. So I went to her Reiki master and started doing the trainings there. And simultaneously with this, we got a dog, a husky, Akasha. And I had left the commercial world and started working as a yoga teacher, and also in the studio of Yolanda, of the woman who sent me to teacher training in the first place, among other places. And we had some things going on with Akasha, which was not, you know, a lot of people said, you know, this, you can't train a husky, or you can't train this out of a husky. And I was like, you know what, I've tried all the trainings, I've tried dog psychologists, I've tried books, and I wasn't really going to give up. And there's a woman, I mean, you know her, Nicole von Olderen. She was in my yoga class on Friday mornings, and she was a medium in Haarlem, where David, also where you had your store. So I said to her on Friday morning, I said to her, if you could speak to dead people, basically, I was pretty blunt at that time and arrogant, said, can you speak to my dog? And she says, no, I can't, but I know someone who can. So long story short, I got in touch with a woman in Wageningen, G. Heerts, who's a well-known animal communicator all over Europe. She helped me and my husband then with Akasha. We had to change things in our life. Few weeks later, Gerry's teacher from the US, Martha Williams, comes to the Netherlands. There's a newsletter, I see it, and I'm like, because what we had to change with Akasha improved everything in 3 days. I was like, I'm gonna learn this. Long story short, I went to this course. I put it on Facebook that I needed animals to practice with, expecting 2. I got 89. Practiced with these animals in a month, took another training with Marta. And all these 89 people who I practiced with in 2000, and that was in 2009, they became the basis for an animal communication practice. So that one grew. Then I realized I've only done Reiki 1. I want to do Reiki for animals. So I did Reiki 2. But the people that I had to practice with, they kept coming back. So Spirit was sort of showing me, now you have a Reiki practice, you have your animal communication, you got the yoga. And somewhere along the line, I'm walking in Haarlem, close to where I lived, in the center, to buy a stone, a crystal for a friend. And I would always buy the crystal in the same store. And I walk up to this store, it's 5:45. And I had 2 dogs then, Akasha and Elsa. And it was always good to walk in. And they were sort of closing. I said, are you closing already? And this girl behind the counter looks at the clock, and there was 5 to 6 then. And she says, yes. And I'm like, I really needed that crystal because it was my friend's birthday the next day. Okay. I'm going, what? And I'm from customer service. So I'm like, what is this? So we were basically pushed out of the store, and I'm getting really angry. And Akasha turns up and she looks at me, and I hear her saying in my head, she says a name in Swedish. She says, you need to go to David. I was like, what? Yeah, David. I'm like, who's David? And then we, went and bought something else, went home. And then later that evening, it was evening walk time at 10 o'clock. Walking down another street, the Kleine Houtstraat in Haarlem, which I walked down thousands of times. And it's dark. And she stops to pee at a corner. And of course, Ella's there too. And I look up, and David's in Haarlem. It's the sign of your store.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, like full of crystals. And also the signs of everything, all the work you do, the mediumship and all the trainings. So I'm like, okay, all right, it's 10 o'clock at night. So next day, I walk into the store, and you were in the back of the store. I walk in with my 2 dogs, and David comes out from the back, and you look at me and you say, you didn't even say, can I help you? You said, let me know if I can do anything. And I just looked at you and said, well, my dog told me to go here. And you just looked at me like it was the most normal thing in the world. You're like, all right. And so that's kind of how we started talking.
It was, I think over the years, I've seen so much, and I've had the honor of experiencing so much with this life. I think everything is just as it should be. So, although it's wonderful that we can get communication from our pets and everything else, it's become a norm for me.
Yeah.
And it's really very interesting thing. And it's also interesting that your path opened when you went through a trauma, personal trauma. My opening as well to spirit was when I become homeless up in Aberdeen in Scotland in the winter for 6 months.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's a shock. It's just everything is ripped away from you. So you get down to who you truly are or what your purpose is.
Yeah.
All the 3D stuff is stripped away. And also, though that seems hard, sometimes that's got to be stripped away so we can really find out who we are inside and why we are here, what we're meant to bring forward to the table.
Yeah. Being just forced onto that path, or to see the path you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I started seeing spirit go into circle, developing, and the kind of thing, the rest is history, working with some of the master frequencies and the healing and the teaching. It's all been, I suppose, in a way, being passed on, so I can pass it on like yourself.
Yeah, and I've learned so much from you, because I took basically every course you gave in the store. Sometimes I didn't even know why I should do it. I followed your crystal healing. I also followed Reiki with you. And I was like, there was a mediumship training. I said, I don't know why. And you're like, don't ask why, just do it. Ascended masters.
It's been a fascinating journey, but it sounds all good, but we still, as human beings, get bumps in the road. It doesn't save us from having further experiences that you wish you hadn't.
Yes.
But we learn to kind of work with it a little bit better, I think, although it does hit us hard emotionally on some of the things. But we can take those lessons from it, and we seem to be, I don't know whether we go through it easily, but we've got support behind us to work through it, which everybody has, but we just become aware of it. But everybody has that unseen support.
if
we link into it.
Exactly. And sometimes we also have to remind each other of that, because how many times haven't we, when we talk on our bi-weekly and we're going through stuff, we're going like, just ask for help. And now
Yeah.
we're not talking only about the spirit help, like ask your friend, like, because we're human, you sort of do forget to ask, especially in the moments when you feel the most lonely. And, there's,
It's really, and I suppose when your unseen team, the frequencies, the universe, step back a little bit, because sometimes we've got to step back and we've got to recharge and ground, and that's so important. Although we're working with these other frequencies, should we say, we are on this planet to work and do whatever our job is, and that's the same for everybody. And if you're working up here all the time, you tend to lose contact with where you're meant to be working.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, that you get a reality check.
That is the meaning of the name.
To get your feet back on the ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we get a reminder of. And I think we were both the worst thinking about it, of just keep giving, and not taking a breath, and being like here on the front line emergency services, because that's how we are.
Yeah.
But we've had to learn through our own experiences that we can't do that all the time if we want to give our best. So we've learned now to take time out and switch the phone off and switch the connection off. But when you do, it feels so lonely when you haven't got that energy around.
Yeah. And that's sort of what happened in the lockdown days with COVID, because then we were really, we had these Zoom gatherings every month, which was amazing and magical. And it was really needed to keep the inspiration flowing, and everyone who attended, it was interactive, we're sharing. And then as we got out of it, those times, what came through for us was that now it's time to step up, because actually everyone who participated, we had like a sort of a core of people who participated, and then some that came and went, but they all developed so much in those 2 years that it was also time for them to step out into the world and do what we were doing, because they were kind of already doing that after everything they shared. But it also showed us that you guys need to step up your game, because you need to be mentoring now. In the sense, not saying that we're not teaching beginners, we are, but it was also, if we have to do that, we have to go deeper within ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what happened around this time last year. Guys, there needs to be a shift in this. And I think it's now, at least for me, when we're talking about it, I realized, because we were so told to go inwards, which we have. Sometimes not voluntarily. Not really what we wanted to do, but we had to. And looking at it now, it's because now we can come back out, and really, I think we're both now in a place where we know which ground is under our feet, both in the spiritual and in the earthly world at this moment. And it's just coming through again.
I think you're right, because I think everybody during that period of lockdown, however severe or light or in between it forced you to go inside, because we couldn't share. People weren't having the same ability to share their emotions with others. And as a human being, being a human being in this timeline, we need to share emotions. We need to share sadness. We need to share happiness.
Yeah.
And when we couldn't, to the normal degree that we were, accustomed to. It made us go inside, not just inside our houses or inside our gardens. We had to go inside here. So it was a great practice. And looking back now, I think, yes, we had done that 2 years of Zoom meetings, Zoom gatherings to support people and help the empowerment. But we took them so far. And if we'd carried on, this is what I'm just getting now.
Yeah.
If we carried on, we would have held them in that space for them not to be able to grow.
It's time to fly out of the nest.
We weren't, it wasn't, oh, you've got to join this. It was a freedom come and go every time, every month. But it was very, very important to know that now you step up. And we've all, like you said, if we'd carried on that way, people wouldn't have been able to step out. They've got your tools. They can now go out, find out about themselves a bit more and have the confidence to go out and say, here I am, here's my light. And I think we have 7 billion light beacons on this planet.
Yeah.
If everybody, or if half of everybody started shining their light with all their gifts, and everybody has gifts.
Yes.
In all different ways. If everybody started saying, I've got confidence to do this, gift, put it out there, can you imagine the light that would really shine through in this time?
I love this, the synchronicity again, because exactly what you're saying now. Isn't it interesting that these words come out at the moment when the sun is shining so brightly and we have so many solar storms, and it's going to pick up till 2025. It's been going on for 4 years. And we're at a time, I know we've talked about this before, and I've said it to other friends too, that I'm in my early 50s. And when I was a kid in school, so let's say 6, 7, but somewhere between 6 and 11, if the teacher said, draw a sun, I would draw a yellow sun. But I think if I would be between 6 and 11 now, and my teacher would say, draw a sun, I would draw a white sun. The light is so strong. Do you remember like 2 years ago when it really started to shift, and also these solar flares come up? And I told you about, I was driving back from the woods from Elswald, where I used to walk the dogs. I still do walk the dog I have now. And it was green, it was lush, it was around this time of the year. And all of a sudden I was like, what's going on? It's like the whole road was moving, but it wasn't, because the light coming through was just different. It was like you got your new like you get at my age, these glasses with all the different levels of dimensions, or whatever you want to call them. It was like you had that, but it was because the light was so bright. So the green in the trees got a different green. The black of the asphalt is a different asphalt. The zebra crossings is a different, shoots back a different light. And yeah, and that light is so bright that we can't really look away.
And I suppose that's what everybody maybe, we are a reflection of nature, because we are one with nature. Yeah. We've come away so far from the natural world. We've become dislodged. We've become out of alignment. And that's why we have a lot of dis-ease within our body. Yeah. And in our emotional, because we are out of sync with our home, or our spiritual home, which is nature. And as the sun is now shining more brightly, we've got to shine more brightly. Yeah. We're reflecting nature, and or nature is reflecting what we should be doing and showing us. But as you say, the light is so bright. Yeah. And there's I've been doing some personal work with people, and they were saying it's now, and I don't want everybody to go out and look at the sun with their bare eyes, but it's connecting to the power of the sun
Yeah.
and bringing that power of that sun through, because we are part of it,
Yeah.
and shining out that sunlight and radiate it out as far as you can go everywhere you walk. And
Yeah.
it's such a simple thing to do, just to connect into the sun. Please don't stand and look at it.
And just go out in the morning and
Sunglasses.
have your coffee outside.
Yeah.
You know?
And just intentionally bring it in and say,
Yeah.
I'm going to ripple this out wherever I walk today.
Yeah.
And it's the most simple thing. And I think that's important, to keep things simple. Keep it out of your head. Don't get bogged up with how, why, where, or when, because then it all stops.
Yeah.
It gets clogged up. Just go out and do these simple things. And why am I shining my light here? It really doesn't matter.
Just
You're shining your light.
Yeah, and all you need to shine in your light, people might be like, what do you mean? Just give someone a smile or just say
Yeah.
hello. And don't worry if someone says hello back or not. That's already shining your light.
Hold a door open for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And
The simple things.
yeah, connecting. And this is what nature is well, so much is teaching us. Like everything's a mirror. But what nature is teaching us, I had this very interesting conversation because I also work with personal training at a gorgeous place of the best colleagues and really great customers. And we always have really good conversations. And there I love it because everyone is so different. So you can have so many different conversations if you're open to it in a day. And we've had, of course, here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've had so much Northern Lights. Even here in the Netherlands, I mean, it's gone all the way down to Switzerland. I was in Switzerland a month ago. And I was having a conversation with a personal training customer one morning and asking, because I had been away and there was a lot of Northern Lights in the Netherlands. And this person said that they hadn't seen them because it was cloudy. They were out in the woods camping, but still where they were, it was cloudy. And so they said that I've heard that it's let me translate it to English, that it's artificial. I said, what do you mean artificial? Yeah, it has to be artificial because we've never seen it this far south before. So I told this person about the solar storms and showed it on YouTube, and I realized the teaching in this is that we say we've never seen it here before, so it can't be right. It can't be real. It can't be real. And this is because we have removed ourselves through development, because it's nice to live in a city and all these things that have happened. We have removed ourselves from nature. We have automatically become limited. And nature is showing us that there's no such thing as a set rule or a set boundary. Yes, we have summer, spring, summer, winter, and different weathers, but they change. And because something hasn't happened for 30 years, if it happens all of a sudden, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It means that it's possible. So what all these things happening in nature, if we're talking about Northern Lights, of course we have floodings and really horrible things happening too, is that it's possible. Everything is possible. It's possible.
So that's for nature. That's for us.
Yeah, we are nature.
Possible for us.
Yeah.
We put our own restrictions on and say, oh, I can't do that. Or we may have grown up with the guidance that was given at the time, which may not have been so bad, for us, but we've grown up with, oh, you can't walk that side of the street. Oh, you're not tall enough to do this. You're not strong enough to do that. And that puts boundaries on us.
Yeah.
And we subconsciously carry that, I think, through a lot of our lives. And then when we wake up and we realize we are more than what is this person in the mirror, we start seeing ourselves out here. We are a massive being of light.
Yeah.
and our energy stretches out, and we know everything's energy. So our influence with energy is influencing not just ourselves, but everything that is around us.
Yeah.
And say nature is the most incredible teacher and supporter for health on this planet.
Yeah.
We
And
know how good it is to walk through nature, but if you stop and you start connecting to everything in nature, you start being aware of what it's showing you, you know, live your life like the seasons.
Yeah.
Nurture yourself in the spring so you can nurture yourself. Then you can go out and bloom. And then in the fall or the autumn, you can go and say, now I'm getting rid of everything I don't no longer need.
Yeah.
And you rest.
And hibernate in the winter.
And then you come back into the spring and start planting the seeds of what am I going to do? Where am I going? And then nurture it back in summer.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the simplest things like that, nature is our finest teacher.
It is, and there's one of the things that I keep being reminded of in shamanism, especially, but also shamanism is not just North American. We all have our ancient practices. So in all Norse and I'm sure there's many more, is that a seed grows in the dark. So when it feels dark, literally because it's winter or just because you're going through a dark period, that is when the seed germinates. You know, that is that just keeps coming back so often. And also so don't shun the dark. It has a purpose. If it was sun the whole time, we couldn't plant, for instance. And I saw too, it's so interesting to catch yourself with your thoughts and your judgments. And because, yeah, we have grown up in belief systems, but we also create our own belief systems all the time. And sometimes you catch yourself, like, I was out last night with Star, with my dog, with my husky here, and the trees are just so green and so lush because it's been torrential rains and warm. So everything's green and it grows like crazy, and it was really windy, and I'm standing there and there's already leaves blowing off the trees. And I'm going, I know last year I went, oh no, they're already falling off the trees. And now I found myself going, isn't that amazing? I'm in awe of the beauty of spring and the flowers, and one part of me going, wishing this would last forever. And then nature's going like, look, I'm already shedding. There's no stopping this because it's not supposed to be stopped. The leaves are already falling and the flowers are there. And it's not really a set boundary. It's all a process. It just moves and moves and moves and moves. It doesn't stop. So why do we need to stop and fence things in? It's not that we should just keep going. What I'm saying is there's different speeds to things.
Yeah.
There's from very slow to very fast and everything in between. In the year, in the week, in the 24 hours we call night and day. There's different currents, but it never stops.
No. And I think even resting and just being, you are doing something.
Yeah.
You never feel guilty because you could be down, you could be getting inspiration behind the scenes. There could be ideas being dropped into your head. And also, you've got to give time for things to process and understand.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do everything. This world has become, oh, I've got to answer that email. I've got to answer that text straight away. And we have been guided, shall we say, I could use other words, but
willingly guided.
You're willingly guided to keep up this pace of constant pace up here. We're not built for that. You look at nature, nature will do its own thing in its own time, whether we tell it to or not.
Yeah.
You know, nature will deal with what it does at each time it arrests, and it doesn't need us telling it what to do all the time and keeping going. It will take the time to grow a leaf.
Yeah.
You know, we can't be forced, or you've got to get that done by 5 o'clock.
I need 6 more leaves by tomorrow.
Yeah. And you nature takes its time and it shows the beauty, and maybe that's what we've got to do. You know, where has this conversation gone from the beginning?
No, but it's interesting.
No script. But
Yeah, because this is what keeps coming through. This is what we're learning when we have our conversations.
yeah,
That what needs to come through comes through. The only important thing is that you have the conversation. And whether you have that conversation with, like we speak to each other, or you have the conversation with yourself, or you have the conversation with a stranger, or the conversation happens because you lay down on the couch or you go swimming or whatever you do. When we have the conversation and are willing to listen, it comes. And this is what our inspirational conversations are about, sharing. Because one of the interesting things that happened yesterday when we spoke was that when we talked about, we were strongly guided, forcefully guided, I would even call it, to start doing this straight away. I said in the future, and you went, I know that was coming through. It was a channel thing. You said the future is now. And that's, there is no such thing as, if something comes through now as an inspiration, it's now. The future is now.
Yeah.
It's not on Wednesday.
It's, if you receive some guidance, I think this is learning about trust within yourself as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
About trusting that inner voice, that inner guidance that doesn't come from the logical, analytical side of us up here.
Yeah.
And the more we can trust that inner guidance, I think the more we get guided and the more we feel at ease with things.
Yeah.
And we don't overload our brain, which we are being shown to do all the time. But if you get an idea in your head, it's for now. It's not for next week, because there's no time in the universe. Time is man-made. Linear time is man-made. So if you get an idea of something, that's coming in for now. So why do we hold on to it and say, oh, I'll do that next week, or I'll start that next week? The time that you're receiving that inspiration is the time to grab hold of it and go, I'm going to do it.
I know. You know what Star's doing? My husky, she goes, time is now for food.
Okay.
She's right, though, because it's 1 hour past the food time. My God.
You're kidding.
I think we've been talking for like 45 minutes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So usually for those of you listening, if you're on, which we will upload to Spotify too, usually I think our inspirational conversations will be a lot shorter, but you never know.
We put aside half an hour, didn't we?
We did. And that included trying to log on and try to get rid of my boring wall and all of these kind of things. And can't find my lightning because that's in a box somewhere. But see, this is how it goes.
Yeah, what needs to be said needs to be said.
Exactly. So with that, I'm going to feed Star. And I'm going to virtually
hug everybody. I hope you gain something from it.
Yes.
And say we may do 20 minutes next time. We may do half an hour.
And sometimes maybe 2 minutes. Who knows? Yeah.
We hope that you'll join us for the upcoming time, however long we're guided to do this. We're just letting it play its path. And I hope you gain something from it. You know, I think that's, you know, this isn't just for us. We have learned over the year that this is, whatever we get needs to come out. And if it hits one person, you know, it's one person extra.
Exactly.
So, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and totally let us know what you think. You know, if you want to put comments below wherever we, in all the channels we share this, you're more than welcome.
And we'll put our contacts up on wherever it goes. So if anybody wants to get in touch with us, they know where they can find us.
Absolutely. All right.
Before we go on.
Yeah, have a beautiful day, morning, whatever moment, future.
Have a beautiful now.
Now. Bye.
Bye.